ya every morning.
Peace and blessings. Once again, it's on.
Black Power, I'm your host, Rebel with a Cause.
And I'm Ross Ises, also known as AKA the Donut Man.
Facts.
Yes, indeed. And we here today.
And this is
the Think Champs.
Yo, we got a great show for y'all today. We got a special show today. We got an entrepreneur in here. We got a revolutionary. We got a man of God. We got an exclusive interview with none other than Tarik Edmonson. Let's give him a black hand, y'all.
Yeah, I'm good. Peace and blessings, man. Get that show is dope, man. That's what it is. Perfect love, man.
All right, dude. How's it going?
Everything good, man. Glad to be here.
Good to see you. Good to see you. So now we just want to thank you for coming. I know we all see the sneakers.
Yes, sir.
Just got a few questions we want to ask. So tell us a little bit about yourself. Who are you?
I'm Tarik Edmonson, born in the Bronx, raised in Savannah, people out of Statesboro, Georgia. Just found out Goldsboro, South Carolina, Savannah, Georgia, Atlanta, Georgia. People left in the 60s doing the civil rights thing. A lot of people started going up north, doing the big migration. My people was a part of that. We stayed up there about 6 years, came back, grew up in Savannah. Always was an entrepreneur. I noticed the bubs you got over there. I was like, you took me back. My first job, a hustle, on the back of the comic books. You can sell the bubs in the neighborhood. So I started selling the bubs, knocking on doors. That was my first hustle, yeah. Turning a dollar. So, that's how I came up.
That's real.
Always was into just entrepreneurship and our people.
Yes, sir.
Always about that. Was one of the brothers, that got out on the street to help wake us up. Because once, we got knowledge of self, the job was to drop your nets and become fishers of men. During that time, we would be dressed in the white, all the chemises like the Hebrews, with the under the Ansar law. You know what I'm saying? We come from that cloth. You catch us out there on 5 points back then, trying to wake them up. They walking past us like, man, I don't want to hear that.
Right.
But we felt like our people needed that, so we was willing to, stand out there, because I felt like, the 60s over. And it's our time, we the youth, y'all gave us the baton, now what we gonna do with it? So, I was always looking, loved Martin Luther King, thought he was a prophet when I was coming up. It's like his last name King, you know what I'm saying? He got to be a king, Then we started learning about the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, and Message to the Black Man, you know what I'm saying? That was when I was coming of age, and big time reader. Stayed in the library, didn't do good in school. In fact, I guess I just got a GED. And I got that because one of my partner friends see me in the park. He said, man, paint a picture of yourself 7 years from now. Where you think you're going to be at? He said, people your age, y'all don't think like that. He said, look 7 years, what you see. And I didn't like what I saw. So I got that GED. Still end up getting in trouble. You know how easy it is to get in trouble in the hood. But the left Savannah, came up north with family. That's when I got a little more knowledge. And by that time, I around dealing with Dr. York and Farrakhan and the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and the Do for Self movement, and going to the museums and seeing us making shoes. And then that's when it dawned on me the first time that we can make shoes. You know what I'm saying? That was something only the white people could do, Oh yeah, we was making shoes, and they had it in dollhouses in New York, across the street from the Central Park. And in that museum, they had the Egyptian display. When I had the pleasure to go in there and see it, went solo. That's the type of person I have been. Going to Garment District, buying clothes, coming back to Jersey. Or you know what I'm saying? Always on the flip. Then I don't like to say it, but You know, I had a knack for finding things nobody else could find. So consequently, you want a bootleg cell phone, I'm your bootleg cell phone man. You want a cable machine with the fight, you come see Ty. You know, that's how, you know, so we mixed it up, you know. But all the time reading, going to trade shows, you know, never see black people in trade shows. Never. We need to start going to be aware of every industry that exists that you want to get into. There's a trade show. You understand what I'm saying? So and they have newspapers and associations that you can find out exactly what's going on in any industry you want. From chickens, I done been to machines where they been to a chicken conference. I'm the only brother there. Tarik's Chickens. I don't own none, but once I came into the knowledge of what trade shows meant to the country, and if one of the systems that white folks use as a form of distribution, and when they come together and make decisions, you know, they had the engineers come in and they had a machine that could take a chicken, a whole chicken, and by the time it come out on this side, you got patties, deboned, cooked, everything. You understand what I'm saying? But so I used to play them coming up, you know what I mean? Just do a lot of reading and trying to find my way. Been trying to find my way for years. You know, hitting, making money, but not hitting. Boom. Look who stepped into the room, you know, still learning and building till we came up to this internet age, because a lot of discrimination come in with distribution. You know, I buy books from Yale on the birth of a nation, but it was the birth of a salesman's nation. How the distribution start here in America. Harvard professor put it together even with the horse and carriage. How they start distribution like E.B. and Brown. They say they back from the 1824. You can see them riding around in trucks today. They was around during the horse and carriage age. And then they talk about how the door-to-door salesman came about. And this is how distribution was formed in America, where they would bring it in through the trains, put it up in individual jobbers, would hit the stores like we see today. You know, then you tie into that, but then when you get into it, we find that there's a stumbling block. That you, because of your color, we're not going to allow you to play. You understand? And then certain concessions they put, you learn from reading books like Black Enterprise. On the back they say, you'll see a lot of people need that. That's another trade magazine for our black youth coming up that want to know about things of business. You will find articles like Minority Supplier Certification. We're supposed to level the playing field. We're supposed to allow you a certain amount of shelf space on all shelves because you're a minority in this country. But to incentivize these cats who don't want to do business with us, they make it a tax break to put you on the shelf. But nevertheless, it's still there for us, but some things we just don't know. So the knowledge is power. Black Enterprise is something I would suggest reading material. Also the New York Times, you know, because everything going on in the country come in the New York Times, you know, and then and of course the black side of things is. So that's me, you know. My mama, she couldn't read, you know what I'm saying. I got left back in the 3rd grade. Spent a lot of time thinking I was not smart enough. My pops was a dope fiend, you know, and I went with him, stealing, shooting, watch him shooting dope, all of that. So, you know, that's the kind of background I come up in. But that's just a testimony to when you don't never give up. You know, nobody got an excuse, you know, because you know, that's the thing, a spirit of never giving up that that I represent. You know, because you know, wasn't no sports cat, got cut from baseball, basketball, football. You understand what I'm saying? You know, but you still keep grinding, finding your way. But everybody who plays, they ain't go pro. You realize that you wasn't all that. But at the time it hurt you, but you got to man up. You know, that's the shaping. That's the making of a man. You know, coming up and formulating who Tarik is, who here to you today. You know what I'm saying? That's me, my family, though, good family, Mom Dukes. You know, out of state, bro, aunties and all of them. That's all. I definitely want to share that part of me with people though, so they'll know who they dealing with. Like I say with the company, NAGAST Footwear. That's ancient Amharic. You know, that's deep.
Speak on that.
You know, that's dealing with this brother right here.
Yes, indeed.
His Imperial Majesty Haile Selassie.
Yes, sir. The king of
NAGAST, King of Kings, that when he was coronated, kings and queens from all over the world came and paid homage to who he was. And who was he? He was off the seat of Solomon. And see, that goes down, that's the great line of divine. And we tie into that, which I've read, and I've listened to Dr. Clark, Dr. Ben, Imam Misa, Biamin Ben Yahweh, the list goes on, and I have never heard them build on the lineage of His Imperial Majesty, the line of Judah, how it tied into the Book of Kings. It blew my mind when I read the book called The Capital Nagast. It was like somebody took a pistol and just boom, because I'm like, what? You feel me? And then that the book was so old, 800 years before the Europeans even came into the country, it was already had been around for 800 years.
Yes, sir.
And another interesting fact about Ethiopia, I got to speak on while we talking about the making of men and why I did what I do with this and where we going. That's a part of it, just like Marcus Garvey is a part of it too. But what I was saying, like with Ethiopia, if we was a football team as a people, we 98-2. The white man could put his foot up in our behind in South Africa, in Zimbabwe, and you name all 54, 50, you know, but then when you get to Ethiopia, who had the shield of David, from the lineage of David and the story of David and Goliath, we're tied into the name Nagast. At this day and time, where we find ourselves at, and still hold the Ark of the Covenant. So when you culminate all these things, that's who I am. You know, that's how I lived.
That's right.
One question before I go. Tell the people what inspired you to actually make the move to make the shoe, and what it took to even have that idea.
It came from a conversation with me and my daughter. She was born in '88. This was about 7. Let's say I've been in business now 4 years. Took a year to find the product. So 5 years since, 5.5 years. Took about 6 months to conceive where we was going with it. So, so about 6 years ago, me and my daughter was just kicking it at the crib, and she was saying, you know, now with this social media, these cats could touch a button and touch 1 million people. Blew my mind again. I was like, what, Tassie? She said, yeah. I said, well, girl, you know, it's open. You know, they've been blocking me all my life. I said, girl, you can go now. I'm feeling like I done, you know, I've been dated and battered. You know, I'm on the sideline. I got what I'm doing. I'm all right. I'm making a living. You go out there and do it. So I said, you could do fingernail polish. You could do this and whatever you makeup you could do. But she said, oh, yeah. I said, yeah. She said, well, why won't you do it? You know, she asked me that, so I said, well, I'm going to do it.
Wow.
So that's how it came into existence. Then I said, well, we're going to do a shoe. But then what shoe? First thing, you know, let's go at the colleges with the Greek thing. Let's hit the gangs. And that's when I hit my boy James. I hit him with the gangs. He's like, nah, not a good idea. You don't need to come out with that first. And I said, yeah, you're right. So I'm thinking, you know, I'm saying, well, who am I? Where would I been living? Let's do that. Then, okay, boom, Marcus Garvey come to mind. You understand what I'm saying? The book I just read, His Imperial Majesty, come to mind. And then I look at the industry and the history of the fashion industry as it has been for us. Post-Civil War didn't exist. So it's a new phenomenon. So I said, well, when Russell had it, he called it Fat Farm. No disrespect, but I said he had to been high when he thought of it. I said, where's the Fat Farm? It's like telling me, how could you get to Sesame Street? It don't exist. Can you tell me how to get, you know, the Fat Farm? Where that is it? You and this, you know, so that we couldn't do that. We couldn't be selfish or be just like, you know, what was another one? Sean Jean, he edified his son. Nothing wrong with that. But I felt like, but what did the white counterparts, what they doing, the ones who got longevity? I said, well, Phil Knight named his company Nike. So he went back to some roots. That's Greek roots. That's the Greek goddess name of war. So you understand what I'm saying? So I said he paid homage to his past. So we, you know, and I looked at a Reebok, and they had the British flag, and they put their foot dead up our behind. So when I was thinking about all kind of thoughts coming through my mind, and I was like, you know what? I said, man, like Kwesi and Fuse said, we inside out, upside down, and outside in. It's like going to jail, a straight man get knocked out. The whole jail ran through you. Now you wake up, you got makeup on and stamp on your behind. That's the equivalent of putting on our oppressors' clothing.
Right.
You down with the same dude who just took your manhood, so this your mama, and you wear it proudly. But I said we can't beat each other up because we still coming out of this thing. But what we can do, you understand what I'm saying, is start somewhere. So once we said we're going to start somewhere, let's say, well, they always edifying, you know, the sports guys. You know, no disrespect, but they said when you talk about a jock, you know, the thing that goes synonymous with a doc is a dumb jock. You understand? So now we got our children following people who got the talent to dunk a ball, but can't walk and chew gum at the same time. Some of them, not all of them, but that's the stereotype. What about the edification of the greats that come from out of our culture? What about naming them? They got their space, of course, but what about, so just so we're going to go to the roots. So then Marcus Garvey with his truth. You understand what I'm saying? I was laughing in the back while we was waiting for the show to start, how in school, you know, I copied. You know what I said? You know what I'm saying? So I said, when I start this, you know, Ecclesiastics in the Bible say there's nothing new under the sun. So I got the game beat because I ain't got to try to make nothing new. So once I look and see clear now that the rain is gone, I say everybody doing it. A refrigerator is a refrigerator whether it's a Magna box or if it's a Sony. A suit, a three-piece suit is a three-piece suit. Whether it's a Steve Harvey three-piece suit or a Vera Wang three-piece suit. See, so once we start breaking it through the old man, I would mess with you. Them look like Nikes. Yeah, the only difference is everything is a name. They say also in the Bible that a man's name. So if you following Nike, you following you doing the same thing like a punk would do, who was a man. You worshiping your oppressor, a Greek goddess of war. War over who? The black man in all over the world. So now you putting that on. So I said, well, what we'll do is give the people what belong. We made shoes first anyway. So what I said, what I do is I take that which belong to us, remix it, put our name on it. And now it's not Nike, now it's Kings. Now it's your roots. You understand? Instead of fact finding something don't exist, we got a deep history. We go all the way back. Why wouldn't we want to tie back into that power, that strength, invoke those beautiful names, Nagas? Something that's been 3,000 years old. Now Valley, they spoke it. When they dealt with the highest of our people. His Imperial Majesty, Haile Selassie, of the lineage of David and Goliath. Talking about the King David when we cried for a king when God was our king.
Rastafari.
And we say, well, we want a king, Father. We want a king, Lord. He said, y'all want a king? I'm going to give you a king. Gave us Saul and then gave us David. And in 75, the last one, His Imperial Majesty in 75, that reign fell. And not forever, but it did fall, and we're going to do what we got to do to bring it back. So we feel like that's a beautiful thing to tie into. To tie back into that which belonged to us. So we came with the Marcus Garveys, the Nat Turners. We're going to come with the Harriet Tubmans. We came with the Queen and Zingers. We're going to come with we got the Collards. Now we want to do the Fred Hamptons, inshallah. You understand what I'm saying? We want to do all the greats, edify them in our wear. And then not only do we want to do that, we have to bring in, since this is a cultural thing, a generational thing, our offering in the spoke, as a spoke in the wheel of our progression. Our little spoke to keep the wheel strong, straight, and on the path is to be the what? To secure the culture, to give it back, give you your roots so you have something to be proud of. So you'll feel like you're lame when you wearing your oppressive stuff. But we ain't going to beat each other up right now. We can't beat each other because we still coming out of this thing. This is long. We ain't but an acorn 4 years old. So we about this big if we was a mighty oak. You know the squirrels jumping all over us and kids pulling our leaves. We little, but we still here. You see what I'm saying? So that's what this is what we represent with this Ujima cooperative economics, which means you spend with us, we giving back. You buy as a group, we giving it back. We gonna volunteer shoes to schools. We volunteer to the homeless and give shoes away by the help of the people. This is what made us strong. So in the spirit of Marcus Garvey, UNIA, you know, there's certain shoes that we bought. We didn't have the money. Excuse me. You understand? You heard my background. You know what I'm saying? I decided I wasn't going to sell no drugs. You know, not if I'm going to represent not no controlled danger substance, because I did that. And when I seen I was disturbing the good peace of the state of New Jersey, you know, I don't want to disturb no peace. Right. I'm a peaceful being. I hurt my feelings. So I said I'm going to have to figure out another way. You feel me? So yeah, but we just want to just add to that progression of where our people going, where we prophesied to be there, 1513 Abraham seed. We be brought to a strange land and served here for 400 years. Those 400 years have been up since 1619, 2019. That's where they had the year of return going to Ghana. So those 400 years of us and how we know that's our lineage by this, right? The story, the prophecy, the living man that was here with us from 75 bloodlines still with us. So you can say what you want, all the naysayers could come. Every king acknowledged this king. And you can see it right on YouTube.
The facts is that His Imperial Majesty before 75 and down pretty much was the basic known black figure of the world. You know what I mean? Everyone in the world, just like how you see people now, they on the internet and they see all these famous people. There was none of them ever famous as opposed to how His Majesty was known upon the whole world. You know what I mean? That's because of what he did. You know what I mean? And what he represented, as you're saying, because at the end of the day it's a history that we really should be proud of as Africans here in America.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because if you look at it, His Imperial Majesty gave 500 acres of land, right? For Africans all over, not just in Jamaica, not just anywhere in the world, but especially he wanted us in United Snakes. You know, and I said that, United Snakes. You know, it's Snakes United. You know what I mean? Yeah. So, differently though, what they did was, they knew that His Imperial Majesty was the one who gave land for all Africans to return home to Africa. 500 acres of land, which is still there right now. It's a land called Shashamane. You know, there's actual facts, you know. So my point is that he opened the gate already for us to come home. You know what I mean? And this has already been done since the early 70s. That literally has been stated in paper and in writing. There was a lot of things that His Majesty has done also in the time of Kennedy. You can look up also and see His Imperial Majesty got a ticket day parade here in the United States from President Kennedy. You know what I mean? Where everyone, he came and seen the king himself and hailed him up in D.C. and in New York City during the same time.
They don't even show those pictures in the White House.
No, they don't even want it to be known because they don't want us to know our connection, because here's the reality of it. The reality of it is that Ethiopia is us, and we are Ethiopian. You know what I mean? That's the key to it is. We got to recognize who we are. Ethiopian and black people are not different. Okay?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? There's no difference in the Ethiopian and a black person. You know what I'm saying? But the key is the word Ethiopia means the land of the burnt-skinned people. So what land on this face of this earth is burnt with burnt-skinned people other than the land which they call Africa right now? You see what I'm saying? That is the land of the burnt-skinned people. So before they put their little, like the brethren was saying, they came in, you know, and then what they did was colonialize different parts of Africa and cut it up, you know what I'm saying? It was a scramble for Africa. Before it was a scramble for Africa, and before Africanus came even to Africa and took his name and it became Africa, it was always called Ethiopia, the land of Ethiopia. So you had East Ethiopia, West Ethiopia, North and South. You know what I mean? It was already designed that way. You know what I mean? The whole land was Ethiopia because it's the land of the burnt-skinned people. We were burnt-skinned all across the land, right? So Ethiopian means the burnt-skinned, the burnt-faced people, the burnt-skinned person. which is us, period. So if you're Ethiopian, meaning say you're burnt skin, how could that not be us? You see what I'm saying? In the scriptures, in the Bible, the first place landmass is mentioned is in Ethiopia. Yeah, this is already right there written from the beginning of time, and they know this. We just need to know this. That the original people and the original land was always Ethiopia. You're not going to find Europe and none of that stuff in the Bible. You know what I'm saying? But what you will find is Ethiopia. You know what I'm saying? In bold print. But what they do is they don't want us to recognize ourselves as Ethiopian. You see what I'm saying? Because now we're going back, like the brethren said, to our original roots. Because there's no other race on the planet older than the Ethiopian.
The Bible in Genesis, it talks about out of the Garden of Eden there flowed two rivers, the Pison and the Bison, and one of those rivers flowed through the whole of Ethiopia.
Ethiopia, yes, the Gihon River, yeah.
That's right.
So it's already set. It's been there, it's us, we just have to recognize the true facts, you know what I'm saying? There's a lot of things that have been hidden. See, most people think as Rasta, this is a Jamaican thing. You know what I'm saying? They look at me and they say, oh, you're Jamaican. I rather tell people, nah, I'm born in New York City. They're like, you from New York? You from New York? How can you really be from New York? But they don't realize it's just truth. You know what I'm saying? It's truth all around the world. You got Chinese Rasta. You know what I'm saying? You got Puerto Rican, right? You go to Puerto Rico, you see a whole bunch of Rasta over there with long locks and Chad Rastafari name same way. You know what I'm saying? All over the world is entitled to that. Even in Italy.
And another interesting fact to add on, Rastafari, Ras is the Amharic word for head or governor. And Tafari is His Imperial Majesty Haile Selassie's his true last name, his surname. Haile Selassie is a title that's given to kings. It means bright, shining light.
No, it means actually power and might of the Holy Trinity.
So that's that title, but his name. So when you say Rastafari, they're bigging up the last king of the tribe of Judah from the seed of David and Goliath, which you can find in the book of Kings, the 10th chapter, that picks up the story, as well as in the Quran, you'll hear the story. You understand what I'm saying? And then when you talk about the Ethiopians, they're mentioned throughout the Bible. And when you read the Captain Nagash, which was written 800 years before the white man even knew the book existed, it chronicles how the Queen of Sheba heard about the great works of Solomon, and during the time when they was building the great house of the Lord, every king all over the world, because they bore witness of the tribe of Israel, would give gifts. So when she saw her gifts, she wanted to come meet the man, and of course when he met her, he was smitten. Fire. And this is how the first king of Melanet came, which was the first king, and how Israel tied together, because when you read the story, you'll see how Israel was going to lose the covenant, and when the Ethiopians was going to pick it up. And that's how they tell the story how the Ark of the Covenant was taken out of. He said, don't tell me that you're taking it, because if I ask you in front of people, and you lie, I lie, then I transgress against my people. So don't tell me if you're going to take it. And then they got the guy to build a box to hide it, and they had to kill him because dead men don't tell no tales. It's an interesting story how that Ark of that Covenant left Israel and went into Ethiopia, and then for Ethiopia to be the only country out of every other country of ours that fell, they remained standing. Through all of that turmoil, through World War I and II. When Mussolini came in there, when the Italians came in.
And that's another thing. Even not to cut you, but just on the
Yes,
same
sir.
point.
Yes, we built it.
If you watch these people, they'll always mention Mussolini. They'll never tell you who defeated Mussolini, though. You'll never hear him mention Haile Selassie, the King of Kings, the Lord of Lords, the conquering lion of the tribe of Judah, the lion. The lion, because Ethiopia now has a lion, which is the black lion. And men say they know black, full mane, everything black,
Right.
People didn't watch too much internet and they thinking of lion black, like that. But no, a black lion, I mean the mane. The mane of the lion is black. And that's an Ethiopian lion, you know what I mean? And they have a tribe of Ethiopians that's called the Black Lions, you know what I'm saying, which is the warriors, you know what I mean? These men is the men who took Mussolini and his tribe out, you know what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, these men didn't just come with weapons, you know? They came spiritual powers, these men came with, you know what I'm saying, instruments and chanting and drumming, because it's not just a war physically. You know what I mean? They're dealing with it so heights on the spiritual heights, you know what I mean? Because when they going into Ethiopia, remember, say Ethiopia is in the mountains, okay? Let's get there now. Ethiopia is a place that's surrounded by mountains. It's 700, Africa alone is 700 feet above sea level. So Africa itself can never drown. It never go under, you know what I'm saying? That's why typhoons and all that stuff don't even hit, because it's so high above sea level. That's one point. But now Ethiopia's gone up even higher because it's mountains. You know what I'm saying? It's surrounded totally by mountains to even get to Ethiopia, right? So when these Italians coming into Ethiopia, they had to go up, you know what I'm saying? The Ethiopians already there, you know, is throwing things down at them and all kind of things. It was so much tactics that was already in urban. And at the end of the day, they wasn't able to even go through battle with sinking sand. All them things did, you know what I'm saying? The bugs and all them things did, you know what I mean? Was killing them white people off of the Italians at the time, you know what I'm saying? Going in there. So the war and the battle was so hot that there was Africans here in America who was ready to go to war for Ethiopia. Right. You know what I mean? They was lined up in New York City and Harlem and out here even to go, them signing papers to go to war for Ethiopia, to help defend Ethiopia against the Italians. They were denied, but they lined up and stood for it, because at that point we really knew what it was. That was, His Majesty said during that war, he said that the Italians are not just coming against me and us as a nation, but the whole African race as a whole. You know what I mean? Because he's a king, you know. Remember, say His Majesty is defending everything black, you know. He ain't coming defending whiteness at all. He abolished slavery. He was the first person to abolish slavery in 1931. Right after he was crowned, the next year he signed a paper that slavery was abolished. And next thing you know, everything started ricocheting all over the world, started to abolish slavery after that fact, you know what I'm saying? But Ethiopia, on paper, was the first one that knocked it completely out. So he changed the globe at that point, even for us as a people. So now when he met with President Kennedy, right? And you know, check it, you know, it's history, you know, because when he met with Kennedy, Kennedy died 17 days after the king had that ticket day parade, you know. Yeah, Kennedy was assassinated.
How long was it?
What?
You say he died?
17 days after His Imperial Majesty had the ticket day parade in D.C., President Kennedy was killed. And His Imperial Majesty came forward again to the United States and was in his funeral. And he wasn't weighing no back, you know. So if you ever watch the funeral of Kennedy, you'll see His Imperial Majesty right there in front with a flag and everything, and everybody else behind the king. You ain't before the king, your rank ain't that high. He's a field marshal and general. And the king, you better step back there, His Majesty right here.
From thousands of years, and it's acknowledged. Because on time, on Meet the Press on Sunday morning, when the way they introduced us, said, we'd like to bring forth to you today His Imperial Majesty of the direct blood descendant of Solomon.
Yes, sir.
This is what the white boy said. Meet the Press. Yeah, everybody bore witness. But we need to know that.
We need to know history and know that, because he defends us as a people. And at the end of the day, it's all about us. You know what I mean? Yes, sir.
One more question before we pass it down. Just real quick, what could the family expect from 220 from the shoe line, and what's the new ideas? What's the spice?
With another line coming soon. We're working on it right now, as a matter of fact. So another line of sneakers. Also, us coming into more women apparel, shoes, and whatnot as well. And we're gonna go public. We're gonna offer shares to the community in the spirit of Marcus Garvey. We're not doing it Wall Street. We're doing equity what they call equity crowdfunding. So regular people can invest. So, you know, the beautiful word of you and I tie. and then we cooperate with one another, form a corporation, which we are there. So we got our books in order. Any investor that would like to look at our books for the last 4 years to be a potential investor can see that, can see how we grown. Also can see that all we need to do is scale and get more of our people, knowing what we're doing, build our team. Where now we just brought in a CFO, a chief financial officer, to get our books in order, to know where every dime, nickel, and penny went. Like they say, every business lose for the first 5 years, which we did. But of course, what we do is we reinvest right back into the company, get more shoes and things of that nature. So what we're going to do that because once we scale, we're going to begin to we see a niche in the marketplace that don't exist. There's nobody filling. Like right now, currently, you have like 450 NBA players. 100 of them have deals. But with the power of social media and with our connections with the manufacturers all over the world, manufacturers in Vietnam, manufacturers in China, manufacturers in Ethiopia, I had to make it my business to do that. They have a program that the Americans are using called USIT. Matter of fact, what's that girl named Trump? Trump's daughter, Ivana, had her line made out of Ethiopia, which is another bunch of openings for us because they got so much demand over there. They had to buy cotton on the open market, which now we could grow our own cotton, and we only had to talk to not one white person about selling our cotton. We sell it directly. You understand what I'm saying? But these are the things that we plan on doing. So we building the team. We need to bring another attorney. So we're gonna bring an entertainment attorney so we could deal with these entertainers in a professional way that they used to being dealt with and have, so we doing that. Then we going into electronics. You noticed that they got Dre Beats just went for $1 billion, made Dre one of the richest men in hip hop. So we got a manufacturer in Hong Kong that we contact, and we'll be flying out there to meet with them. But we also looking to do like a Carly Beats, for instance. She Carly B, and the B is for beats. If we can get her like we want her, But that kind of thing, we just growing, scaling, bringing on team. We need a CMO, a chief marketing officer. We want to begin to bring in more interns. We want to also get in many more graphic designers, fashion designers that's proficient in what's that, Photoshop, any of those photos where you could take a shoe and then you strip it down, because a shoe is a shoe. That's what I said. We got to realize, a track shoe is a track shoe. No matter if you put Nike name on it or if you put New Balance name on it. So once we strip it down, we build it back with our colorways. Then we put our culture on it. No. And but see, some people who belittle themselves and belittle their belittle their culture, they'll say all you did was take an All-Star and slap Africa on it. But and you just bit from them. Right. But I submit to all of those naysayers that cotton comes from a plant. Rubber comes from a rubber tree. Yeah. Silk comes from a worm. Exactly. And all of it comes from God. So at the end of the day, it's who you gonna be down with, who down with you. True. You know what I'm saying? Exactly. We come out the mud together. Right. You understand what I'm saying? So what you gonna do? You gonna keep letting the white man get all your money, your conqueror get your money, you gonna be his girl forever? Man, you gonna be his girl forever, or you gonna take a stand and stride with pride? Right. So when you look at their face, when they look at you, these niggas slipping away, what are we gonna do about our niggas? Because see, these are the questions that we want to ask. Because I was talking to the brother, I said, if we don't have nobody mad at us, what are we doing? The greats had people mad at them. So Fred Hampton had somebody mad at him. Oh, that's so true. Martin Luther King had somebody mad at him. Marcus Garvey and others.
And everything that this nation has is because it exists today because of what they stole from our people.
Yeah, so if we taking it back, I'm jacking back, babe.
Exactly. Everything.
You know, I'm taking mine back. I'm standing for mine, so that's what we represent. We represent 50 years after Brown versus Du Bois. What did y'all do?
Yeah.
When the historians look back,
Yeah, man.
200 years from now, when we all in here are dust in the wind, been dead 100 years, all of us.
Right.
What will they say when they look back? We want them to look and say a small company that says NAGAST footwear that existed, that came about. And what did they do? They perpetuated and uplifted that which belonged to them. You understand? They went back to their roots after 400 years of lynching, after 400 years of hard labor, after 400 years of can't read nothing. Soon as we get a little bit of knowledge of self, what did we do? We went back and plugged in. And then what we did from there, we built communities with this. This is what this about. That's why I said we have Ujima. If you got a dream and you want to have your own shoe, we help you make your own shoe. You understand? We don't want to hold you back because we know that I'm 54 years old. I got more ahead of me, behind me than I do ahead of me. But it's my job to give what was given to me.
True.
And when I got it, Martin Luther King had sacrificed his life already. You understand? They had marched for us to be able to do certain things, to have a little bit more respect. So this is what this is about for us. This is our life work. It's about legacy. You understand what I'm saying? You know, it's about, breaking that generation or that of curse that was on us and now stepping into the light of the blessings and truly believing that it's our time. And stepping forth to make it happen, help anybody who want to make it happen, want to join in, want to invest in what we're doing. For disclosure is there. We have the proper mechanism in place. We hire, I'm not the smartest person. I'm not going to try to be the quarterback, the center, the tight end, the owner, the general manager, the defensive coordinator, and the offense. I'm not going to do that. What I'm going to do is handle my lane. I'm a man of vision. I was called to do this when, I was talking to one of my best friends, and, I told him what was on my mind, and he said, Ty, anybody who really know me, that's what they call me for short, Ty. He said, man, if God put that on your heart, man, then do that. And that's when I realized that's why I do what I do. God put this on my heart to have the audacity, the audaciousness to think that I could compete with the big boys and don't have no paper when I started. But a dream. But I said, if I could show them I could make one sneaker, they're going to roll with me. God knows there's people out there like me. I want this. I know I ain't the only one. So I said, if I can build it, they're going to come. So when I put one out, the people will support 300 pre-order. Boom. This year we want to see 10,000 pre-order. We're doing hard on the press. Whenever we come out with, we're going to do that. But now when we do that, we got people who can own. Now we can decide if we want a school here or where we want to put a school. What we want to do. Are we going to man up and we're going to take this thing by the horn and not blame nobody? When we know what to do, Marcus Garvey laid it down. Like I said, I copy. If I didn't know, there's nothing new under the sun.
Well, I like what you said, though, it's so real because at the end of the day is, what are we doing to really upset anyone if we're not standing for something? You know what I'm saying? Like you said, honestly, that is so prophetic because at the end of the day is them men stood for so much that people had to hate them because they were standing for something. You know what I'm saying? Right now in this time here, there's no need for nothing because people don't stand for anything. You know what I'm saying? And we got to get to the point where, like, these conversations we building because it's just people, we got to realize, honestly, that we have a lot of truth that we really need to be sharing amongst each other. You know what I'm saying? And it's going to help build us. Conversations like this is uplifting. You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, you started from the bottom and now you up. And that's what it's about. Starting from where you are. You know what I mean? Start from where you are, you'll get to where you want to be. But at the end of the day, you got to start. You know what I mean? And I give thanks to even see that. The power in that is great because that's what we are. You know what I mean? And we always been that. You know what I mean? Yes, sir. Much power. Yes, sir. Bless your love. So, yes, sir. We're going to build too and let ones know who's in the building as well, you know? Yes, indeed. Once again, it's on
Right back at you, Black Power family. I'm Rebel with a cause.
And I'm Ross Ises, and this is
Day Champs.
Champs. We're here. Yes,
Part two.
indeed. Part 2. We here with a positive brother from the community. I want you to hear my brother Eddie. Let him speak and build on some things because we need to hear this, you know. Tune in. Yes, sir.
Peace and love to all my beautiful sisters and brothers. Tonight I would like to share a message with you that is for all people, regardless of race, creed, or color. First and foremost, I must give praise to our Heavenly Father for His love, His grace, and His mercy. I would like to speak to you tonight from the subject, your body is a temple. From the book of Genesis, the 2nd chapter and the 7th verse, you will find these inspiring words. And the Lord God formed man of the dust of the ground and breathed into his nostrils the breath of life, and man became a living soul. When God blew the breath of life into Adam, He ordained a human body as a holy temple. The human body is the most beloved creature, or the human being is the most beloved creature within God's universal creation. Jesus Christ gave us a magnificent description of God's love when He said, "For God so loved the world that He gave His only begotten Son, that whosoever believes in Him should not perish, but have everlasting life." When God created Adam, He intended for mankind to live forever. Although Adam and Eve disobeyed God in the Garden of Eden, God blessed 8 consecutive generations of male offsprings to live an average of 847 years. I believe the reason for their unprecedented longevity was due to their commitment to the original organic vegetarian diet that God gave to Adam and Eve. But after the 8th generation, man became carnivorous and began to eat meat. From the book of Leviticus, the 11th chapter and verses 4 through 47, God graciously provided us with a list of forbidden foods. The most harmful food for the human body is pork. God forbade the eating of pork when He said, "And the swine, though he divideth the hoof and be cloven-footed, yet he cheweth not the cud, he is unclean to you, and shall not be eaten." God also said, "And their carcass shall not be touched, because they are unclean to you." God never intended for the pig to be used for human consumption. The worms from pork attack the bone structure of the human body and are the primary causes of arthritis. The second most forbidden food is fish without fins or scales. God said, "Whatsoever hath no fins nor scales in the waters shall be an abomination unto you." Fish without fins and scales are contaminated and can cause threatening blood diseases. In my humble opinion, it is very risky to eat any fish from the open waters because the contamination caused by millions of gallons of oil spills that has polluted the majority of our seas. Also, oil contamination has produced a high increase of mercury in all seafood. I would like to say that as an organic vegetarian, I have found that organic foods are much healthier for your body than conventional foods. Many people that I know who eat conventional foods have suffered with a lot of sicknesses and diseases. So as a 68-year young organic vegetarian, I believe that man can live far beyond the expected lifespan. Many times when a person gets close to 70 years old, they're either incapacitated or they can't walk. But I'm nearing 70, and I feel like I'm just getting started. And I praise God for blessing me with a healthy body. And I thank God for allowing me to be here tonight to share with you the many benefits of organic nutrition. So in closing, I must say that I understand that organic foods are much more expensive than conventional foods. But I don't go to the doctors. I don't use pharmaceutical medication, so it's well worth it to be on an organic nutritional diet than it is to be on a conventional diet. And I pray that each and every one of you who are listening to this program will consider the fact that God, His original nutritional plan for mankind was an organic vegetarian diet. Thank you so much.
Let's give it up for
real. How long you been running?
Yeah. How long you been running?
44 years.
44 years.
Nice.
That's
Nice.
That's life. More life. That's give thanks, brother.
We gonna ask him a few questions.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yes, indeed.
All right, let's see. I guess you can hold the mic.
Okay.
What gave you the idea to start this vegan life?
Back in 1975, I met some Muslim brothers from New York. I was working at the Federal Archives and Records Center in East Point. And when we went to lunch, those Muslim brothers from New York told me they didn't eat meat. And I couldn't believe that anyone could survive without eating meat. They also told me that how dangerous it was to eat pork. I couldn't believe that people could live without eating pork. I used to love my bacon and cheeseburgers. But when they told me that pork contains worms, trichininia worms, and they told me this, if you don't believe it, say get a piece of pork and put it under a glass in the sunlight and so just watch all the worms come out of that pork. I did that, and that sold me on becoming a vegetarian at that point. Now, in 2008, I became an organic vegetarian because I found that organic foods are much more healthy for you than conventional foods. You know, organic foods are grown without artificial fertilizers and pesticides, which are very harmful to your body. So I became an organic vegetarian. And right now I feel like God has blessed me with,
Well, you're looking good.
you know, everything I need to live, to be 100 and beyond. Matter of fact, I want to become the oldest living man in America. You know? But at the same time, get better. I want to be like a Benjamin Buttons. I want to, you know, the older I get, the younger I get.
True. More life.
Yeah, more life. You know.
Anybody got any questions?
So, you say you retired from the police force?
I retired from the post office in 2011, but I worked for the police force back in 1981 and 84. So I've had the privilege of representing this city as a police officer and a mailman. Yeah.
I ask you this. So you met these Muslim brothers and they told you didn't eat meat. Was that the only reason why you stopped eating meat, or you looked into how bad pork was?
Well, like I said, like I said, when they told me about the worms and pork, that's when I looked into it.
Yeah.
And after I did my own little experiment with a piece of pork, I began. Matter of fact, I purchased my first health food book in 1975.
What was your first health food book?
Nutrition, organic nutrition. It was from those particular brothers. They ordered the book for me. It came from New York because at that time it wasn't any books like that here in Atlanta.
Okay.
But after I read that book, I couldn't see myself becoming an organic vegetarian at that time. But I did give up pork and red meat.
Yeah.
So it was a gradual thing, over time, to get to this point.
Yeah, that's the mission. It's true. It's not like an overnight thing,
Right.
Yeah, but I agree with
And I'm
that.
still growing. I try to learn more each day about. That's why I was over here reading Ross's books on the different vitamins and minerals or different foods and beverages that enhance your body. That brings about better health.
True.
So I'm constantly always trying to learn more each day. Because I feel like that's the reason why God kept me here, because a lot of my classmates, a lot of my childhood friends, they're gone. Most of them are dead. A lot of them died in their early 50s. From smoking too many cigarettes, dying of cancer, drinking too much wine and liquor.
Yes,
So I feel like God kept me here for this reason, to be able to share this knowledge with all my sisters and brothers,
Thank you.
So what's your take on the craze about the fake hamburgers and the different meat substitutes?
Yeah.
I'm not into it.
I know you're not into it, but how you feel about it being considered to be veganism?
Well, by the fact that I've never tried it, I don't actually know if it's actually all vegetarian. They say it is.
Nah, that's what somebody
But
say.
that's what they say. But I don't actually know.
Right. So you just
So I can't really give an honest opinion because I don't really know, because I never tried it. My daughter, she tried the Impossible Whopper. She said she don't know if it's actually vegetables or not. She knows it could be real beef.
Yeah.
She don't know.
Who knows?
Yeah, because these companies, they will try to fool you. Just for the sake of trying to make money. Because they know there's a lot of vegetarians out there who would consider, buying the Impossible Whopper, a meat substitute.
It's true. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, indeed. Once again, it's on.
Rebel with a cause.
Yes, in a Ross Isis. Yes, indeed. I'm here right now, right here with the real matrix we about to step you into, Not the matrix, where you got to take a different pill, This matrix right here is where you got to live a life, You got to choose life or death. Okay? So this matrix, I'm going to step you into the life portal. We only dealing with life. I'm going to call onto the planet now, Mr. Anderson himself.
Hey, yo.
Indeed.
Peace, warrior.
Thank you. Greetings. So I'm Mr. Anderson, and met Rice Isis actually doing some gardening one day out at ATL'S. So it's a hard thing. When we were growing up in the 90s, we had a movie called The Matrix. It was like a cult film, but my last name happened to be Anderson. So people just started getting familiar with calling me Mr. Anderson, because the movie was very popular. So the name kind of stuck. But as I was raising my family, I started homeschooling them. And me and my wife at the time, I was homeschooling, and we decided to do a garden project in the backyard. So we did a garden project as a homeschool assignment. And it was just right up against the house. Nothing too fancy, some herbs here, tomatoes there, and it just took off. And as we had to educate the children on how to do it, we educated ourselves. So I kind of took to it more and started growing and stuff, and noticed that it was growing really well. And I learning techniques and started learning and growing food, and the school project turned into something really, important to the family. We had a place to meet, we could come, we could get outside of the world. So it was almost like we were coming out of the world, going into this garden, and, having a lot of freedom. And then people would always say, if you can grow food, it's like printing money. We never, just entirely ate out of the garden, but, about a good third of the food bill kind of got taken up as we learned how to garden more and more and more. So I was doing this, and people started coming around seeing the garden, and they wanted me to show them how to do it. And I started saying, well, if I can grow it, you can grow it.
Right.
So I would come up with a term, say, I grow, you grow. If I grow, you can grow. So I just started naturally sharing all my techniques and different things that I learned with the people that came in contact with me. And they would always comment on the tranquility that they received, or the life-changing experience, more than just getting some vegetables out of the garden. So I was kind of, in a sense, like the Neo, the Mr. Anderson that was taking people out of the matrix and putting them in a place. It wasn't necessarily a way, but in a mind frame like that. So that's how the whole Mr. Anderson thing come across. And when I meet people that's older than me and stuff, I tell them I'm Mr. Anderson, they be like, I'm older than you. But I am a Mr. and I'm Anderson. So, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. So, that's the whole Mr. Anderson thing, in case it's like Mr. Anderson. That's where it come from. But then I want to say thank you for having me on this platform. It's an honor to be amongst thinkers. Bro.Eddie, I really respect you. I'm glad you come around. You got great energy. Not a judgmental man at all. I've noticed that from day one. And I appreciate your energy. Good example. Because I'm not going to be getting any younger in age, but my spirit is young. And hearing you say you want to live long and being 70 and eating good food is definitely an inspiration. And the people that you be around is a testament of who you are. Brother Ty, people know you, call you Ty, so I feel like I know you. We've been chopping it up for a good little while. I've purchased your sneakers. Probably not directly from you, but I've purchased these sneakers and worn them enough to wear them out. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? So it's an honor to see the root of this, And I got my eye on them Khaleds. Yeah, them some nice ones. I have to get some jogging pants or something to go with them. But them things nice. Good product. The story behind it means a lot more to me now than it did before, But yeah, I definitely like the product. So what I do, like I said, that was my story about how my name, Mr. Anderson, came about, and then I did the gardening. And that was in Texas where I started out gardening. And then I transferred to Atlanta in probably 2009. And when I got here, I noticed that it was a community down here in the West End, because I was in Southwest Atlanta, more in a corporate type of world, and I would call this coming down to the city. I would come, I was still in Atlanta, it was Southwest Atlanta, but it was more suburban, and this was more city. And I would come down here, they had the vegan restaurants and the festivals and people doing stuff in the parks. And that wasn't like something I was used to being in Texas. It was more spread out, it was more diverse, I'll say that. More different, But when I came down here, people selling oil and, just people being themselves. So when I came and people asked me what you do, and I told them that I grow food. Like I work a job, but what I really like to do is grow my own food and be a gardener and raise my children. And the level of admiration or respect that people gave me because of that being a skill, it let me know that it was very important. You know, that it was very important to show people how to grow food. And I grow food in a suburban, urban setting. So I teach people how to grow food around their houses. Like I lived in a swanky subdivision, and they had like a HOA, a covenant thing where you couldn't only, they would monitor how the house looked, and
I
if you
seen
cut
you all
the
up
grass.
I seen you all up in some pictures, man.
Yeah.
Up in the prisons and jails, even growing food for the prisoners, showing them how to
Yeah,
grow.
so you just, you
man.
figure out a way. So we would make the landscape look like beautiful, edible. It would be edible landscape so that the people wouldn't get in trouble for growing vegetables. Because they think, yo, that's country. You growing vegetables in the city, that's country. We don't want that around here. So I teach people how to grow food around their houses. Not like farms and stuff, but you know, nice in the landscape, and where you would put shrubs at, you could put food there. So we're teaching them that, and then I started going down to Tassili's, and I even did gardening for her in her front yard landscape. Like the main build up and cut out of that is some stuff that I had put together, and then in the back, the hill with the terraces, I made that. You know what I'm saying? So we would put a garden in anywhere. But I ain't going to play with you. I know how to grow food on concrete. I know how to grow food on concrete. It sounds far-fetched, but you can do it. It's called the garden in the bag. You basically buy the soil, the bag of soil, and it's like this. You lay it down on the ground like a pillow. You cut the top out, but don't cut everything out. And you just plant the stuff in there, and it'll grow inside that bag.
Wow.
And it's enough nutrients in the bag that, you know, it'll last the season. But you can grow anywhere. If I can grow it, you can grow it. We'll show you how to do it. But, so I'm a solution-based type of guy, and I'm here on the Think Champs because I know we got a lot of stuff that we thinking about fixing, a lot of things that we thinking about solving. And you probably seen me on here a few times. I don't say much. Because, like the brother said, I can't be the quarterback, the running back, and the free safety. I'm only going to speak when I got to speak or do what I got to do. But gardening is growing food. It give you a euphoria that you won't understand. Like me and the brother was talking, I told him I did some gardening. He was like, yeah, I grew some squash one time. And gave it to some lady, and she said it was the best that she ever had. It's just something about knowing that you grew your own food, that you produced it, that make it taste better, make it, you know, feel better. So, you know, us as a whole, this is like a technique that we all should know how to do. Like, we all should know how to cook. Even if you're a man, you know, the sister may cook for you and all that, but you need to be able to cook for yourself. You know, you may have a brother who can grow vegetables very, very good and all that, but if something happened to him, you need to be able to grow some vegetables. So I want to empower everybody to be able to grow their own food. Everybody has a kitchen. Everybody should have a garden. You know what I mean? So.
Question. What are some simple, or not simple, but what are some, you know, intermediate, simple foods one might grow to start their garden off if they wanted to do that?
Yeah. I would say if somebody just totally new starting out, get you a house plant and just see if you can take care of that for about a good 3 months. Get you a little ivy plant or something, you know, and just get used to watering a plant and getting a relationship with a plant. Because when you start a garden, it's trial and error. It's going to be a little bit of an investment. You're going to have to take some of your time out, you know. So, you know, I don't really, because people do get enthusiastic. They go out and they buy stuff and then they sit there or they don't water and then they die and different things like that. And I'm not discouraging nobody from growing anything, but the main thing that I'm trying to say is that you gotta have a relationship with a plant and vegetation and know that it's a living thing, because you're gonna have to take care of it. It's gonna take some love and some care, and that's why it offers so much well-being. Like how people get pets, they have a dog, cat, whatever. They treat the thing with such relationship. When you start out, growing food, you think a lot of times in this microwave generation, I've had people that plant something and they like, it's been 2 weeks and it's not growing, and it's a lot of things that go into play, but it's if you want to really grow something indoors right now and take your hand on something, I would say try some sprouting. Like go to a health food store. They have like seed packs next to the sprouts. You can get alfalfa sprouts, mung bean sprouts, different kind of sprouts, and that takes effort and it's growing. And a sprout, alfalfa sprout, mung bean sprout, any of them sprouts have 1,000 times the nutrition when they turn into that little sprout. So it's January. If you want to grow something right now, do the sprout thing and do your research. You're going to have to soak it overnight. Then you got to rinse it, drain it. It's going to make the tail. You let that grow. You got to keep the air circulation so you don't get sick. But if you want to grow something you inspire, you can do some sprouting right now in the middle of January. That'll get you mindful. Then I say grow your intellectual property first. The thing that always is the foundation for a good garden is the soil. But the first soil is your mind, because you got to understand what you're doing, the things that go into gardening. You got to do some research. You got to, learn about it. And like I said, in an urban suburban setting, it's going to be different from farming. Rows and rows of, you get to that, but you want to feed yourself first. And most of them farmers, they have a garden close to their house, kitchen garden. We just go outside, get your vegetables, and come back in the house. But your intellectual property, get that together first, and then start planting seeds in that. And that'll tell you, what to grow, how to grow, when to grow, all of that type of stuff, But as we progress into the Think Champs and we talk about a whole lot of different subjects, this one will come up a lot. And I'll definitely be involved in it. And we talking about helping our people. We solution based, so that's a great solution. And even if you stay in apartments and you do different things like that, there's community gardens all over the place that you can attach yourself to. In all cities, not just Atlanta, but you might have to go look for it. You know what I mean? But definitely that, along with what the brother was saying, is one of our biggest weapons, is to have great health and to live long and be able to, still function.
Right.
Be able to still function. So, Ross wanted me to tell y'all about some of my garden experiences, some of the things that the garden has helped me to do in the city. Like you said, the garden allowed me to meet him. I was gardening over at Tassili's, and then I had a garden over there with Ibrahima. Remember Stone Mountain? We had that garden. We used to meet at your spot in the morning. I would pick him up from your spot some mornings, right? Yeah. And we were going over there to do a garden in Stone Mountain, and he made a DVD, Food, Clothing, and Shelter, off of that. Yeah, part 1 and part 2, I think. And I was in on it with that. We had a big old garden over there. But it was a brother that I met in the garden. It was Azad.
Azad, yes.
Azad. Yeah, Azad. And Azad was doing capoeira in the park and he started doing it in the garden, and I asked him what it was. I thought it was breakdancing, and he showed me what capoeira was. And then when he showed me what capoeira was, I got into it, and it led me to an instrument. This instrument right here, the bending bomb. I'll play a little bit for y'all, and I'm gonna tell y'all. But me gardening and all of the things that it brings to you, the well-being, not just the food, brought me to this right here. That was something that the garden brought to me. So basically what I'm saying is that this gardening thing, it may not be everybody's thing, but it is a tool that we can use to heal ourselves. It's a tool that we can use to feed ourselves, empower ourselves, teach the youth, make it popular again. You know, I consider myself to be a pretty cool cat. I walk around the city. People don't look at me and say farmer or this or that, but the people who know me, like, yeah, he grows some food. You know what I mean? I can grow food. I just ate some food out of my own garden. Kale. I had kale that I grew tonight, and it's in January, and I'm still growing food and eating food out of my backyard. So, you know, it's slow magic, but it's for show magic.
True, for real. Yes, sir. That's real, you know, because the way I look at it too is like, that's our original state. Our original state is growing food. And we're in 2020. See this clearly. Go back 1920. 1920, all black people knew how to farm or had a garden in their yard somewhere, some fruit trees growing somewhere. And beyond that, we were all farmers. Further you go back, you see us as farmers eating fruit from the earth. Further you go back, we didn't grow the food. The food was already there. You know what I mean? Yeah. We were just eating the food from the earth, you know? So that's our original state, is farmers and bringing food from the earth, you know what I mean? Even when they said they brought the Africans from Africa and they called it the Caribbean, right? That's because they carried them beyond. Yeah, they was carried beyond. So they was Caribbean. But they still was the same black man, but they said when they carried the rest of the black people from to